Konami.
The benefit of hip hop is we have President Obama.
E3.
All right, so I'll take it in the back.
2010.
Tommy, it is incorrect.
Sorry.
One of the worst press conferences in history. When the press walked in, they had no idea what they were in for. Something that's always fascinated me about this press conference is that beyond the awkward presenters, I don't think I've heard of a single game that was shown off here. Now digging a little deeper and actually watching the whole thing proved that a little wrong, but it sort of adds this kind of surreal layer on top of this already pretty wacky story. So I want to show you the results of my research. And who are these people? What are these games? What happened to them? Before we get started, let me set the stage for what was happening in gaming in 2010. You also have to realize that this was the dawn of a new era in the industry. A new, awkward, barely functional era with Kinect.
Fire! Lava! Tomb? Fire! No! God! No! You want to select the one with the fire! The magma! It is magma! God!
It's an exciting time. No one knows what's going to happen. Sony just unveiled their own motion controller. In the days leading up to this, gamers had been treated to announcements and previews of Portal 2, Twisted Metal, and Fable 3. Wow, that'll probably be the best game ever.
As far as for some of you that can't attend the entire performance or the presentation, I just ask for you to exit at the back of the room.
This is David Daniels, Director of Marketing at Konami. He still works there, in the same position. God bless.
Hello everyone. Thank you all for visiting with us today.
This is Shinji Hirano. This is Russell Simmons. This is Shinji Hirano. He bounced around president and corporate officer positions at a few different divisions of Konami and now serves as President of Kojima Productions. Huh, how about that?
Can we roll the trailer, please? Are we on it? We're on it? We're not on it. I'm just going to talk to you instead.
Okay, the first dive into Konami's software treasure trove. It's Nick Parrott of 4mm Games.
Live on our Konami's booth at 4 o'clock.
Def Jam Rap Star was ostensibly a rap karaoke game where players could upload their recordings onto a website to be voted on by other players. That's why when he says,
1 million views on one of your video performances on defjamrapstar.com makes you a rapper, and there's no joke in that. Someone will become famous with this game.
He's not kidding. Or at least, he believes so. Developer Autumn Games and publisher 4mm really went all out for this project. Partnering with Konami was a smart move at the time, as the Dance Dance overlords already had relationships with the music industry and got them a license with Warner Music. Now, you've probably never heard of 4mm. That's because they would go out of business 2 years later, and not necessarily from poor sales. The game sold close to 1 million units in the first year, posting pretty good reviews, actually. Unfortunately, they burned through all of their money hosting the website by the end of the year, and keeping it up was probably the last of their concerns after they were sued by EMI for using 54 licensed tracks, valued at $150,000 each, totaling $8.1 million in damages. But wait, you cry. Weren't they partnered with Warner Music? How does EMI come into play at all here? Well, it is true that Rapstar pulled music exclusively from the Warner catalog, but that music didn't always pull exclusively from the Warner catalog. Yes, the big hubbub was over samples of EMI's music used in various songs on the Rapstar soundtrack. This meant that EMI wasn't even claiming the full song. They were claiming 10% of I'm So Hood by DJ Khaled. Players are not penalized for cursing, but it is not a required part of the game. Wait, there's actually more. 2 months later, City National Bank sued Konami for $8.9 million over a $14 million line of credit they'd taken out to fund Def Jam Rapstar. The profits were supposed to go to paying off the loan, but instead, they gave them nothing. Possibly because after the licensing fees, development, marketing, and hosting, they might not have even had any money left and were just trying to break even. In the lawsuit, City National claimed Konami had promised the game to sell 2.5 million units in the first year. Yeah, it was nowhere close to that. Since Rapstar and 4mm have faded into bankruptcy hell, Nick Parrott has seemingly stayed far, far away from gaming, minus a short stint at Jagex. Nowadays, he works as an advisor and director at a bunch of different companies, including a venture capital firm. I guess being sued for $17 million is a little off-putting.
Man, this man wanna be a rap star.
Who wanna be a rap star?
This motherfucker here wanna be a rap
You
star.
wanna be a Def Jam rap star? He got what it takes to be a heavyweight amongst us? I'm a Def Jam rap star. Look at me, boy.
Hey, speaking of off-putting, here's the real Russell Simmons, here to just kind of shimmy up to the stage. The president of Def Jam Records, he has since stepped down from the position after several allegations of sexual misconduct were levied against him. Also, apparently, when Terry Crews got sexually assaulted, Simmons tried to convince him to cover it up. Ugh. He is currently hiding from the world in Bali, seeing more money and attractive women than I ever will. The world is a cool place. This one's not so interesting. John Williamson was a producer at Zombie Studios who actually put out a Zork game, as well as all of the Spec Ops titles that most people don't realize the line is a sequel to. They only lasted 4 years after the release of Saw 2, most notably releasing Blacklight Retribution. Saw 2 reviewed poorly compared to its predecessor. As for John Williamson, he would go on to teach courses in game design and currently produces VR and AR projects for branches of the US military and NASA.
Ultimadius Excellent is an Xbox 360 exclusive title that will bring back Konami shooters in a big way.
Ah, Automadius Excellent, the first localized release of this Gradius spin-off series, and the obligatory weird anime pervert game. Let's start with this guy, Niais Taylor, one of the better speakers of the event, who is relegated to
Save the universe with 9 lovely characters in Automadius Excellent.
He worked QA for a while at Konami before getting an assistant producer and script editor role on the first Saw game. He doesn't have any particular relationship to Automadius Excellent, and afterwards he would only have a special thanks on Hardcore Uprising and The Simpsons. He's currently a CTO at ITEM, aka Integrated Technology and Entertainment Medium, which is a company whose existence I cannot verify. He claims to be an, quote, entertainment technology visionary.
An import shooter has never been this challenging, this attractive. You are guaranteed to have fun as you shoot the core.
As for the game, there's a few interesting points. The cover artist Taylor touts is mangaka Mine Yoshizaki, best known for creating Sergeant Frog and later Komodo Friends. It was generally critiqued for being a boilerplate entry in a well-populated genre, but did it really bring back Konami shooters in a big way? Dude, it's censored in the trailer. They had the foresight to censor it for the Western press because they knew that this was bound to be a niche weeaboo title. I will say, the opening song, Fly, kind of a banger. Oh, and there's this really weird Destructoid review. Ultimadius excellent is everything I love in life. Gradius, graphics, and cute little girls. Hehe, not since I laid my hands on. Have my palms been so wet and sticky to get a hold of a babe? This leaves my other hands free for extra fun. This little whore ain't the woman she used to be. Holy shit. I spent 5 years in jail for the distribution of...
This is not originally hack and slash anymore. This is an extreme hack and slash title.
Takayuki or Tak Fuji.
Not funny.
This is it, the man of the hour. One of the best parts of this conference, dropping some of the most classic lines.
And the battle with armies of the more than 1 million troops. 1 million troops. Wow. 1 million troops. Love you guys. If you just continue to press the same button like X, 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 and Y, 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 and X, X, and Y, Y, Y again, you'll be sucked. Right?
He started working at Konami in 1997 as an audio director and was actually an electric guitarist on the Symphony of the Night soundtrack. Apparently, also was a part of the chorus in some tracks from Suikoden, and helped localize the PS3 release of No More Heroes. 99 Nights 2 was his first production credit, taking over for Tetsuya Mizuguchi from the first game. The game reviewed poorly, with critics ironically singling out the ability to hit XXX and a YYY and a XX and a YY without being sucked. He continued to produce for Konami until leaving in 2014 for DMM.com, doing something related to VR and esports, I guess. In 2018, he would make Gal Metal under DMM, and most recently produce a little mobile game called Rock Bottom. His Twitter picture is from this conference. How can you not love this guy? Niais Taylor returns to the stage to showcase Adrenaline Misfits.
It's a battle to the bottom.
A title for the then upcoming Kinect, whose greatest praise from critics would be that it functioned. Which seems like a low bar to pass, but Sega would argue otherwise.
Everything in this game is broken. Everything!
IGN criticized the characters for, quote, looking like a bunch of furries desperately trying to be cool. That's a good one.
Hi everyone, my name is Naoki Maeda, and I'm the producer for Dance Dance Revolution and Dance Masters.
If you're a classic rhythm gamer, you might recognize Naoki Maeda's name. He started at Konami in the 90s producing music for titles like Life Force, and later became closely tied to the Bimani franchise, which encompasses series like Beatmania and Dance Dance Revolution. By the time of his departure in 2013, he had written 160 songs for the series under several aliases. Dance Masters would be released 1 year before this, however, finding more middling reception from critics who, at the time, believed there to be much better options on the market. Naturally, when he jumped ship for Capcom, Konami, in their special, spiteful way, scrubbed all pictures and videos of him from the Bemani series. Once at Capcom, he produced the mobile rhythm game Cross X Beats. Or is it Cross Beats? Well, it doesn't matter, because in 2018, the servers went offline and the game is now completely unplayable. Hey, didn't I just do a video on that? That same year, he founded his own developer, Unlimited Studio, which released their first game, Seven's Code, in October 2019. One thing that makes me feel for him in this presentation is that he was seemingly forced to speak English the entire time.
We would be using a mat and more. We will dance with absolutely no controls. No longer tied down. Now you can move your body freely.
As you'll see, they had multiple translators on hand, but I guess if the Japanese presenters could speak any English, they had to. Even though he comes off really weird.
You can become the ultimate dance master. Of course, popular dance tracks are included, but there are also Latin, African, hip-hop, pop, R&B, Eurobeat, and trance, and many, many songs to dance to.
Like, I'm sure if he just spoke Japanese, it would sound fine.
私は進化と革命がポリシーであり、常に待ち望んでくれているお客様の思いに応え、エキサイティングにセンセーショナルなコンテンツを提供したいと考えております。
Wait, yeah, he just sounds like a normal guy. I do think it's funny that he just gave up.
Always trying to incorporate evolution and revolution in our games, and it is important to provide.
You could have just translated him for the entire time. Why didn't you guys just do that? This is Thomas Nagano. He appears to be bilingual, and he says,
"We're gonna try this out, but don't expect us to be great."
Even though it's obviously pre-recorded gameplay, as you can see when he steps away and lets poor Naoki just sweat it out on the dance floor.
Very, very express.
Not much is known about his work in the games industry, but he appears to have left it behind to start a Japanese taxi service. Oh wait, I forgot. There is one more thing we know about him.
MC Tommy! Come on! What's up? I'm sick of turning on the news and hearing the blues. They paint a picture like life is a lose-lose. Our kids are growing up lost and confused. We gotta give them a world that's worth living through. It's a mystery to me. Why we gotta allow history to repeat? The sound of people living in peace. How would it be if we took back the streets? How would it be if we didn't need police? How would it be if we all had food to eat? Poverty ain't a word, everybody's gotta be.
Konami is talking dancing to a full new level.
So wait, you're telling me that it's gonna be Dance Dance Evolution?
For everyone who just can't get enough of the most celebrated show on television, join America's favorite underdogs in Karaoke Revolution, Glee.
This is the part where I can't use any audio or I get destroyed by copyright. Christine Catley was a brand manager at Konami until 2014 when she left for Disney Interactive Studios. She introduces the John Burroughs High School Choir, aka the Powerhouse Choir. Or, well, actually, they're introduced with a clip from ABC 7 before they come out to do a surprise performance of some Glee song. I don't know. Being a high school group, they do still exist and are apparently pretty prolific as far as high school choirs go. You can even book them for events. The only interesting thing I can find about the Karaoke Revolution Glee game is that one of the first reviews you can find of it is from NPR, of all places.
That's right, Beyblade is back and hotter than ever. Following the release of the cartoon series this summer on the Cartoon Network,
It's hard to get excited for a game when even the marketing guy doesn't seem to care. This is Mike Pepe from Hudson Entertainment. He started there in 2008 and would stick with them until they shuttered their doors in 2012, finding a new job at EA. Ugh. That lasted a short while until he jumped to Deep Silver, where he has additional development support credits on Metro Last Light and 2033. As for the games, well, it's a licensed Beyblade game with mediocre reviews, Deca Sports 3, another meh title, and Deca Sports Freedom, the Kinect release. It basically has the same sentiment as 3, but it's on Kinect, so the controls are bad.
My eyebrows are sweating. I f***ing hate when my eyebrows sweat.
Now, this last game actually caught my attention among all the muck of this conference. Lost in Shadow looks from the trailer like a platform puzzler with a unique gimmick and some combat. According to most reviews, it's just about that, but all of its interesting ideas are expended a quarter of the way in. However, it is one of the most well-received games yet, with a Metacritic average of 68, making it 1% better than Glee. Alright, here comes the big, juicy games. A new Silent Hill project presented by Devin Shatsky and Brian Gomez. Shatsky produced a lot of ports and licensed games for Konami before landing a producer role on Silent Hill Book of Memories and Downpour, as well as writing for the latter. He left the company in 2014 to join Digital Funk Machine as a consultant on VR games? Mobile games? It's hard to say exactly what they put out before he left in 2016 to join Age of Learning Inc., also known as ABC Mouse, where he remains as of today. That's surprisingly wholesome for a guy who worked on Silent Hill. This game would eventually become Downpour, which, of all the post-Team Silent games in the series, had the best reception. Mainly praised for its narrative and atmosphere, the sticking point for many was the combat and other less fleshed out mechanics. It's kind of divisive. The game was originally slated for an October 2011 release, but was then pushed back to March of 2012. Brian Gomez would leave the project after the delay, stating in an interview with shshatteredmemories.com, quote, "My family and I came to a decision that I couldn't keep making the commute between Los Angeles and Brno for another 4 to 6 months," unquote. Adding optimistically, quote, "You can rest assured that some of the projects I'm looking at are survival horror related. There's a lot of things I still want to do in this genre that Konami simply didn't let me do," unquote. Gomez continues to work in the industry to this day, securing directorial roles exclusively on licensed mobile games.
Hello everybody, it's great for me to be here, see you all, and present our title for you. I am Shinta Nojiri from Konami Japan, and...
First, we'll save any explanations for later, right, Shinta?
Yes. Yes, please see our trailer, please.
Oh, hey, another guy Thomas Nagano should have translated for. Shinta Nojiri, more well known by hardcore Metal Gear fans as the director of Metal Gear Acid 1, 2, and Ghost Babel, all spin-offs that offered their own unique takes on the series compared to the main line of games. Here, he announces Never Dead, his very own original IP, after making the decision to leave Kojima's team. In a 2010 interview with Gamasutra, he mentioned some possible forces that drove him in this direction. Quote, "I jumped to make my own new IP because I think Konami needs new IP, but it's complicated. In Kojima Productions, we have some obligations to make a franchise. My ex-boss wanted me to make games in the franchise, but I didn't think so." Unquote. It seemed like Najiri really wanted to make something new, even when he was working on an existing property, which is how he turned Metal Gear into a turn-based trading card game. Never Dead, then, was his big break. He comes off in interviews as very modest about the project, but excited to have the opportunity. Never Dead would, unfortunately, be met with below-average reception. Most outlets praised the premise and some of the gameplay ideas, but criticized the implementation of those ideas. After this game, Shinta Najiri would just disappear off the face of the earth. Really, he doesn't have a single credit after this, but supposedly still works at Konami. At the very least, I haven't found anything that proves he left.
Hey Tommy,
Just
are you
recover
okay?
with Jashin time. All right, don't worry.
What's wrong with you? Hey, Tommy, what are you doing? It's strictly confidential that we have a real model for this title. Put it back. Put it back. Put it back. Put it back. So sorry. Please. Thank you. Please keep this secret, even if you have any friend working for some press. And hey, Tommy, you have some announcement for this title.
Yeah, got my head back in place.
Tommy. It is incorrect.
Oh, sorry.
Speaking of Metal Gear, next up to the stage is Metal Gear Rising, presented by then-producers Shigenobu Matsuyama and Mineshi Kimura, aided by a translator. I say then-producers because the game being shown off here never came out. But didn't Metal Gear Rising come out in, 2013? Yeah, but that is a completely different project from this one. See, like with the Acid series, Kojima passed the torch to a different team while he occupied himself with other entries. In this case, the game had been spinning its wheels for several years, and when he checked in, he decided to pull the plug. Rising would then be resurrected when Kojima entrusted Platinum Games to rebuild it from the ground up. With this game evaporating, Shigenobu Matsuyama has no credits after 2008. Mineshi Kimura continued to work on the Metal Gear series as an environment artist, all the way up to Survive. Maybe Kojima can poach him for his new studio.
Hello everyone, it's been a while. My name is Iga.
Koji Igarashi, the shepherd of the Castlevania series ever since 97's Symphony of the Night, a game he was assistant director on. Also credited with writing Tokimeki Memorial in 1994, which might not ring a bell for Western viewers, but still reigns in Japan as a seminal, pun intended, entry in the dating sim genre. He's here to showcase Castlevania, Harmony of Despair. Not Harmony of Dissonance, those are two different games. Harmony of Despair stepped away from the Metroid part of the Metroidvania and was more focused around collecting loot with multiple playable characters across a small number of intricate levels, and for what I believe is the first time, co-op. Right after him is Dave Cox, a producer at Mercury Steam, who were developing Castlevania Lords of Shadow. This was another new take on the genre, attempting to take elements of the original games and transition them into 3D more faithfully than Castlevania's first outings on the N64 and PlayStation. Both of these games were met with conflicting opinions. Some found a lot to like in Harmony of Despair's co-op and treasure hunting. Others found it shallow and lacking in content compared to previous entries. Lords of Shadow drew a lot of ire from the inspiration it took from its contemporaries in the 3D action space, namely God of War, but some critics enjoyed it for the same reasons. The opinion among fans seems equally hit or miss. Koji Igarashi, for his part, would leave Konami in 2014, citing a desire for more creative control. He then formed his own developer, Artplay, and launched a successful Kickstarter for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, a game aimed at rekindling the magic of the Metroidvania subgenre he'd helped create. In 2018, he produced Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, an 8-bit throwback to classic Castlevania titles, and a year later, Ritual of the Night would release. Both games were met with critical acclaim, and he looks to be continuing his career unshackled with a follow-up to Curse of the Moon.
Curse of the Moon 2.
Dave Cox has a bunch of interesting credits to his name. A writer and producer of Lords of Shadow as well as its sequel, Mirror of Fate. He has a litany of roles in business and production on other games. He's thanked in the credits of Duke Nukem Forever and apparently designed the packaging for the PAL release of Metal Gear Solid 1? I don't know if that means the cover, because the European cover is the best one, and if so, good job. Anyway, back on track. After Lords of Shadow, he doesn't appear to have worked with Konami, instead moving from the Spain-based Mercury Steam to Polish developers CI Games. He continues to work in the industry, with his most recent credit being a producer on 2020's Roki, an adventure game that's been praised to high heaven by everyone who's played it.
Hey. Save it for the ring. It's tomorrow, 1:45 p.m. Give it to him. All right, so I'll take it in the back.
This man, about to take it in the back, is Federico Bayer, a director at Slang. Slang was a developer-publisher aimed at appealing to a Hispanic market. This meant licensed games based on popular Mexican properties like Atrévete a Soñar, El Chavo, and most relevant to us, the AAA wrestling promotion. This is all of the info I could find on them, including Mr. Bayer himself. Slang doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. What's much more interesting are these three burly fellows, manhandling this little caramel twink. Why did I write that? Konami had gone so far as setting up an actual wrestling ring and hiring a host of luchadors from their upcoming game, Lucha Libre AAA Heroes del Ring, to perform every day.
El elegido. La Parca. Silver King.
El Elegido started competing in the AAA wrestling promotion in 2006 and continues to this day, though he has yet to win a title. Despite this, he remains popular, and the AAA website describes him as, quote, the sex symbol of the company. Next up is Silver King, another popular and prolific luchador who's belonged to the Universal Wrestling Association, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, AAA, WCW, All Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and several smaller promotions. He's the son of classic luchador Dr. Wagner and the brother of Dr. Wagner Jr., but many viewers probably know him for playing Ramses, the villain of Nacho Libre. Silver King was unmasked early in his career, back in 1987, but continued to wrestle with the Silver King name as well as a few other alternate identities. He had a long career after this press conference, including winning a AAA title. Unfortunately, while wrestling in 2019 during a match in England, he collapsed in the ring, later confirmed dead of a heart attack at 51 years old. A tribute was held shortly after, and in August of that year, he was posthumously inducted into the AAA Hall of Fame at Triple Mania 27.
1:45 p.m. Give it to him.
This last lucha on stage forced me to do the most research for this video. This is La Parca, but it's not that simple. See, there are actually two La Parcas. The original is one of the most prolific luchadores in history, belonging to every major and several minor Mexican promotions, the American Major League Wrestling, multiple Japanese tours, and most relevant, AAA. In 2003, he was forced to give up his name when then AAA owner Antonio Peña claimed ownership of the character in order to push his own version. This one became known as La Parka II by fans. The original wrestler then rebranded himself L.A. Park, L.A. standing for La Auténtica Park, the authentic park. Okay, so the one at E3 is the second La Parka, right? June 6, 2010. Triple Mania 18 is held in Mexico City. The main event? The so-called dream match between La Parka and L.A. Park. The winner takes the name La Parka. Both luchadors enter the ring to Michael Jackson's Thriller. During the match, L.A. Park sprays a fire extinguisher in La Parka's face and throws him out of the ring and into the crowd, where their brawl continues. They claw each other's masks, almost tearing them off completely, and both begin bleeding heavily. La Parka throws L.A. Park off the top of the ring and through a table before the referee is blown out of the ring, allowing L.A. Park to use an illegal, forbidden technique, the Tombstone Pile Driver. Joaquin Roldan, AAA promoter, jumps into the ring to calm L.A. Park. As Park threatens Roldan with the chair, his son, Dorian Roldan, joins him. L.A. Park pushes Dorian to the ground and follows through with his threat. Dorian retaliates and takes revenge for his father, hitting L.A. Park with the chair. Seconds later, fellow wrestlers Halloween and Damian's 666 arrive and escort Dorian away before dragging the weakened L.A. Park on top of La Parka II's collapsed body, where the referee can finally claim a pin.
LA Park! LA Park! LA Park! No puedo creer lo que ven.
After some back and forth over the legitimacy of the win, L.A. Park is declared victor and reclaims the title La Parka. June 10th, 2010. AAA announces that they will honor the Mexico City Boxing and Wrestling Commission's decision to throw out the win. The results of the match are nullified, and both wrestlers keep their names. June 16, 2010. 6 days later. Konami E3. My point is, this is the second La Parka. Most of the rest of his career involves wrestling storylines, but suffice to say that he continued to perform for AAA until October 21st, 2019. After jumping from the ring, he missed his opponent and hit the concrete floor head first. With major surgeries, he would survive, but only months later, in January 2020, La Parka would pass from the lasting effects of his injuries. The first time that I was exposed to this conference was in Krobcat's Director's Cut video, and I assume the same is true for most others. At that time, these were just funny, random people who were in and out of my life, only really there to laugh at for being part of this unbearably awkward show. While writing this script, I rewatched that video as a refresher, and I found that suddenly it was a lot less funny to me. Out of the 17 games presented here, there are 2 half-decent ones, 3 divisive ones, 11 of them are total duds, and 1 doesn't even exist. This conference is beyond underwhelming, and for a lot of people, the first signs of Konami's steady descent into their current hellish state. It's not an exaggeration to say that the people were more interesting than the games. Researching their careers gave me a knowledge and investment in them that's probably more than anyone outside of a hiring manager. Even though knowing their stories has lessened that hilarity that I once found in this presentation, it's a reminder about who's behind all of the special moments we see. The people. Where they came from and where they went is what for me, solidifies this as the worst and greatest E3 press conference of all time.